A Hellfire missile strike hit Venezuelan water at 995 miles per hour. Everything happened at once as the boat exploded in 8.3 seconds. The cartel boat was destroyed, but some boats don't sink, and when they do, the real story starts. What changed in October? What made the military suddenly want prisoners instead of just wreckage? Join us as we find out all about the United States' strike on a Venezuelan cartel boat. The crush switch turns on. That is when everything becomes fast, violent, and final. The fuse sends a signal to explode in 1/10,000th of a second. 20 pounds of warhead go off with the same force as 28 pounds of TNT. The blast pressure is more than 200 psi, strong enough to tear steel into pieces. For a small fiberglass boat, it means destruction. A thermal camera records it all in heat vision. The first blast shines bright white and blinds the sensor for a second. Then the broken parts appear, spread in a perfect 100-meter circle. What was once a smuggling boat is now only floating wreckage. The engine cover falls into the water. Half a seat splashes down. Small metal pieces keep falling for 30 more seconds. The pilot gave feedback saying, "Viper 21. Good effect on the target. Vessel destroyed." His voice sounds sure, like someone who knows the job was done right. From the moment the missile was fired to the moment the boat was gone, only 8 seconds passed. It happened faster than most people can order a drink. The smugglers never had a chance. So something that a crew spent months organizing gets wiped out in less time than it takes to microwave popcorn. But the real mystery is how the pilots know exactly where to look in the middle of the entire Caribbean Ocean. Before the missile leaves the rail, it is already smarter than the boat it hunts. The AGM-114R Hellfire is not a simple tube. It is a fast-thinking machine. Inside the warhead sits an FMU-139 smart fuse. It is not a simple hit switch. It watches many sensors and waits for the exact tiny moment to explode. Instant contact, no delay, no need to pierce. The explosive turns to chaos in a flash. The smarts live in the missile brain. Its small computer runs flight rules that are math and physics to guide it. Before launching, the computer boots and checks 147 items in under a second. All clear, and the missile is ready. A laser gyroscope spins and tracks tiny motions. Every 20 milliseconds, the autopilot works out a new path using proportional navigation. This is like the math a quarterback uses to hit a moving receiver. The seeker head cools to a very low temperature with compressed argon gas. Cooling lowers sensor noise so the detector can see small laser returns through its lens. The missile climbs to 2,500 feet, then dives at a 35-degree angle. It fights wind, target moves, air changes, and even the curve of the Earth. Thin actuators make tiny moves to steer. The helicopter paints a tiny laser beam. The seeker keeps that light. As the missile falls, the dot grows into a shape. 5 seconds to impact. 3 seconds, fins lock. 1 second, the seeker takes the last image, and then the white fiberglass hull fills the view. The missile moves at 995 miles per hour. The crush switch senses impact. The weapon worked as planned. Engineering and math met at one point. The target was gone. But none of that intelligence matters if the pilots don't know where to shoot and finding a single speedboat hiding in millions of square miles of ocean. That requires something even more impressive than smart missiles. It started with deployment. In late August 2025, the United States Navy quietly placed 8 ships across the Caribbean. Officially, it was an anti-drug mission. But the real hunter was the P-8 Poseidon plane. Think of a Boeing 737 with its seats out and $400 million of sensors inside. That is what the Navy makes. The plane flies at 20,000 feet. Its APY-10 radar does more than see the sea. It reads the sea like heat lines. The radar finds signs, twin engines, 45 knots, heading north from Venezuela on the route smugglers call the Caribbean Express. The radar knows what normal boats look like. It knows cargo ships and fishing boats. It also knows a go-fast boat running drugs. The P-8 does not only use radar. It drops sonobuoys into the water. These small listening devices hear engine noise with fine detail. They can tell a 300-horse outboard that is not tuned. The boat thinks it is quiet. But Poseidon hears the knock and records the sound. The video above gives live pictures. The boat left San Juan de Unare, a small Venezuelan port. The plane locks the target, speed 45 knots, heading 350. The time to Venezuelan waters is 15 minutes. The time to the missile strike is 12 minutes. Link 16 data sends all this to an AH-01Z Viper helicopter. The pilot gets the path and the aim. An MQ-9 Reaper drone helps with more heat eyes. The boat has no jammers, no defenses. Against this net of planes, ships, drones, and satellites, it has nothing. The men on the boat never saw it coming and had no way to hide or escape. 6 boats were destroyed between September and October. But then one strike in October, and the fact that people suddenly mattered tells you something was different about that mission. With 6 strikes and 0 survivors, at least 27 people died. The pattern was total and efficient. Military helicopter attacks on alleged cartel boats led to full destruction. Only wreckage left. Then, October 16th happened. A United States strike hit a semi-submersible narco-submarine. This craft is built to ride low in the water and hide from radar. The strike left 2 people alive. This was not a mistake. It was not a weapon failure. It was a different way of acting. Unlike earlier attacks that used full force to wipe out a target, this strike held back power to disable the craft, not destroy it. The helicopter teams saved the survivors and took them to a United States Navy ship. Detention and questioning came next. Think about this carefully. If the goal is only to stop drugs at sea, why does a living witness matter? Why pull people from the water instead of leaving no trace? Why take them aboard a ship instead of letting them fade away? The answer is simple. Live people can be asked questions. They can say who paid them. They can name routes and contacts. A sunk boat tells nothing, and a dead person gives no lead. 2 captured crew members become keys to a larger network. By October 19th, both survivors went back to their home countries, Colombia and Ecuador. The military had wanted answers, and they moved to get them. The fact that submarines matter means cartels are getting smarter, but cartels keep using the same routes even when boats are getting destroyed. And that only makes sense if you understand why one specific region became worth dying for. San Juan de Unare is a small coastal town on Venezuela's Paria Peninsula in Sucre State. It began as a fishing village, but slowly turned into a key route for drug smuggling. Its location makes it perfect for cartels. It is close to Trinidad and Tobago and near other islands of the Eastern Caribbean, far enough from government control but close enough for quick travel. Drugs from Colombia move through Venezuela and gather in places like San Juan de Unare. From there, they are loaded onto fast boats heading to other islands for shipment. These boats are not normal fishing boats. They are about 39 feet long with 4 engines, each with 200 horsepower, built for speed and cargo. When chased, crews sometimes throw drugs into the sea to escape. Losing some cargo is better than being caught. The local gang, Tren de Aragua, controls many of these routes. They move drugs from Venezuela's coast through the Caribbean to places like the Dominican Republic. In one joint operation, United States and Dominican forces recovered 1,000 kilograms of cocaine from a single boat, showing how large and organized these runs are. But this trade has destroyed local lives. When a military strike hit on September 1st, 8 of the 11 people killed were from San Juan de Unare, and 3 were from nearby Giria. Families mourned, sharing photos and tributes. Many of the dead were locals drawn or forced into cartel work. The route exists because it is the fastest path from Colombia to North America. It worked for years because of weak control and geography. But after August 2025, when 8 United States Navy ships and surveillance planes arrived, everything changed. What was once a profitable path became a deadly trap for anyone who used it. Destroying 6 boats proves the military can do it. But when Marco Rubio goes on social media, his message shows off. When Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the strikes online, his words were not about fighting drugs. He said instead of stopping the smuggling boat, on the president's orders, they blew it up, and it will happen again. That was not a drug policy, but a warning meant to scare anyone thinking of running drugs. Between September 2nd and October 18th, the United States military carried out 6 known strikes that killed at least 27 people. President Trump shared video clips. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth posted targeting data. These actions were not hidden. They were shown for everyone to see. Cartels, smugglers, even Venezuelan officials. The message was clear. America was watching and willing to act. The United States called those killed unlawful fighters and said the strikes were self-defense. But by mid-October, many people began to see a shift. The focus was moving from stopping drugs to pressuring Venezuela's government. Reports said the CIA was approved to conduct secret work in the country. More Navy ships arrived as helicopter attacks grew. When Colombia's president said Colombians were killed, the White House first denied it, then United States officials quietly confirmed it. Questions grew about the legality of these actions. Venezuela accused the United States of murder. Some American lawmakers also raised concerns. Still, the strikes continued. President Trump later said the CIA operations were to fight drug flow and punish Venezuela for sending criminals to the United States. But it was clear the attacks had a bigger aim, to show the United States' strength in the region. Whether this works depends on what happens next. Will cartels stop operating? Whether Venezuela capitulates or the military does more strikes? That story is still happening in the Caribbean. The Caribbean waters are still restless, and what started as a drug war now looks like something much larger. Was this really about cocaine routes or control of a coastline? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on global military events.